that they had just fought and beaten. But he envisaged and he intended that this movement in Haiti should encompass the whole of the Caribbean islands and also North America. In fact, even North America, one of the Secretary of State at the time said that they were worried, they were even worried that Toussaint and his troops might invade North America. They were afraid of that. History books tell you that, but you have to delve deep into the right ones to find that. They were afraid. In point of fact, they did not want Toussaint to turn his eyes on North America. But his eyes were turned. All the revolutionists, they were linked. In fact, as far down as the island of Dominica, in the same way we talk about our grapevine. Why should our grapevine exist now and not exist during the time of the ancestors? It existed even more so because they didn't depend on television and the media like we do today, unfortunately. And so it was up and down. It was an organized movement in the Caribbean and in the islands. They were remarkable from Brazil. We'll go into that. Then there was in Guyana, in Berbice, with the great coffee, in Suriname, in Trinidad, everywhere these leaders came up and they were fighting. And these were long, extended fights. They were not fights, they were fighting not 4 months or a 3 month or a 3 year. This thing went on for over 50 years. And this struggle, a struggle that eventually brought what it should have brought. It brought freedom to our people. In so much so, it was so powerful that up and down the Caribbean and the Americas, there was a phrase that they used, some in Creole, some in Dutch, some in Portuguese, some in English, and it was this. It was first said by a brother from Brazil, Louis Gama. He was a powerful leader like Zumbi, and he made the statement, "The slave that kills his master practices an art of legitimate self-defense." And that was the feeling throughout.
Right.
A legitimate act, an act of legitimate self-defense.
Right.
And these were the, if you think that the feeling was not up and down, even in, we're going back to Palmares, we're going back to all the other areas. There was not only Colombo in Palmares, but there was all over Brazil. One of the things that was repeated, and to show you how it was everywhere, the same feeling was playing the rounds everywhere. They would say this, for instance, in Recife, way back in Recife, in Brazil, in 1824, one of the things that they were singing among the folk songs, or one of the things that the brothers and sisters were singing, it was something that was first brought about by the revolt of a brother called Emiliano Mancandaru. And one of the things they were singing is, and as I imitate Christophe, this is what he was saying, the immortal Haitian. Hey, my people, imitate his people. Oh, my sovereign people. Imitate Christophe, imitate his people. Right in Brazil in 1824. In Dominica, it was the same thing. Bala was saying the same thing when he took 3 estates, 3 of the richest estates, in a place called Grand Fond, a deep mountainous part of the island. One of the things he said, that we are going to have a network that's going to take the whole island. And do you know who his second in command was? The person who really moved around. Because very, very few of the leaders and very few of the people saw this leader, a man called Mabuya. The second in command was a woman, an African sister, with the strange name of Angelique. She was no angel when he came to fighting. Angelique. And she was a powerful woman. In the same way, when you read about Haiti, and you read about the leaders, you read about Bookman, as you should, Dessalines, as you should, Christophe, Toussaint, Pétion. One name that never comes up, for some reason, that has not been put in too many history books, is the name of a beautiful, powerful, strong-willed sister called Défilé. She was the one of all of the leaders. Yes?
I didn't understand what you said.
A sister, they talk of all the men leaders, but they never talk about the women who fought with them. Défilé. Défilé, she was beautiful, she was strong, and you couldn't bend her. And it's curious that she and Dessalines struck a very common chord. They could feel their vibes were together. She stuck more to Dessalines than she did to Christophe and the others, because she was the kind of person, the kind of fighter that Dessalines was, and vice versa. And I'll tell you more about her and tell you more about Dessalines later on. But what I am trying to put forth to you is that the struggle for liberation was one that began from the beginning, right from the beginning, and it never stopped. This is the lesson that we have from our ancestors. The struggle never stopped. They were enslaved. Yes, they were enslaved, but they were still Africans. We are enslaved. We must be still Africans today. That is the lesson. We mustn't be Africans now and tomorrow morning down in the city we are collar and tie, whatever. No. We must be Africans from beginning to end, the way they were. And they had need for it, to quite apart from everything else, because they believed in Africa. They believed in that country, their country. It is only people who believed, a deep spiritual belief, that could go on top a deck of a ship and jump in the ocean when you know very well that you're not going to survive in your bodily form. If the waves don't get you, Jaws will get you. The sharks will get you, because there was always a procession of sharks following the ships right from the beginning to the end. You couldn't mistake it. The history books tell us. And so these are our ancestors, people who loved. And what is more, when we go into to look at the Quilombos that we're going to talk about, and the Mocambos and the Maroon societies we're going to talk about, when we look at them, what we notice is something. They were not places where they ran and hid from the European soldiers, etc. No, no. They were areas that they had taken, and what they did, they instituted the African way of life there. That's what they did. They lived as they would live in Africa. The same thing that Bookman said about Haiti when he was talking to his people. He said, we cannot go back to Africa But let us